I'm gonna drop a couple bombs on the FD channel right now.
Who are you rolling with?
I am rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
Let's do it. Let's go.
We are rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
You know we rolling with FD, baby.
We got alphas and bros in the house.
That's right. Peace out, my brother.
Woo! You gotta love it, man.
It's a family thing.
That's good. That's good. Man.
Hey, Renee, who you rolling with?
Rolling with FD.
Hey, Matt. Rolling with FD. Well, C. Bless, who you rolling with?
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
That's how you just rolling, right? That's the whole thing, right? You roll with it.
You gotta let me know who you rolling with.
We're rolling with FD. You heard it first.
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm not just a pretty face, Ziggy. What questions do you have for me? Right, Manny and Jeremy, who you rolling?
We're rolling with FD. We don't want to get our asses kicked.
You gotta let the people know who you rolling with.
Well, obviously I'm rolling with FD.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How we doing? It's April 3rd. I'm really excited about a guest that we have on tonight. I went out to Virginia a few months ago, and I had an opportunity to meet Alex at a show. Purchased a James Wiseman car, fam. I usually don't forget who I purchased stuff from. And I hit him up the other day and asked him to come on the show. This is going to be a great conversation. So I'm going to bring on Alex now. How you doing, sir?
Good. How about yourself?
All right. I am doing well. So, Alex, tell me now, where are you originally from, born and raised?
So I was born in Florida, and then my mom remarried, and when I was 5, we moved up to Maryland, over in the western part of Maryland, like below Pittsburgh and just east of Morgantown, West Virginia. So out in the mountains.
Okay.
That's where I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was born and raised in Chicago. Grew up on the South Side. Then left, moved around for school and work, and now I live in LA. So let's kick it off now. Tell me how you got started in the hobby. What's your origin story?
So I believe, like, this question comes up a lot, just simple conversation you have with individuals. I believe, like a lot of other individuals, I'm 41 years old now. When I was a kid, I did it with my dad. My brother, me, and my dad, we'll go to the card shop that was downtown. We go to little shows. We had one big festival every fall, and every Friday on that festival, that weekend in August, there would be one little card show at the fire department. And I would always remember doing that. And then for some reason, I don't remember collecting. I don't know when it was, and after talking with a lot of people, I think it's when either, I really found out that there were girls.
Yeah.
Didn't want to be called a nerd or whatever. I don't know. Mm-hmm. At some point, back then, it stopped, and then just cards were in my parents' attic for years and years. Then in about 2008. I came back to the hobby, and it was mainly to get my mind off personal stuff. Yeah. I just got divorced, wanted something to pass my time, get my mind off everything. And then someone at work was in there opening up, I believe it was an 08 Topps Chrome baseball box.
Okay.
And I saw that, and I'm like, I remember doing that with my dad. And all of a sudden they pulled an autograph, and I was like, I don't remember that back in like the early 80s, 90s of autographs and stuff coming out. So I just did a little bit of research when I got home and found out there was a huge community back in, late 2000s, 2008, 2009, when I really got back into the hobby again.
Very cool. Very cool. We got a few comments here. Richard Perez says, what's up, FD? Good to have you here, Richard. Edward, we're rolling. Thank you, Edward. Big John. Big John's always here. Good to see you, Big John. Edward Hughes. Fathers and sons bonding over cards. Love it. Edward Hughes. It's good to have you here. So what kind of cards do you collect? What sports do you primarily collect?
So for me, the card aspect is more evolving into full-size memorabilia, stuff to put in my man cave, actually. Card wise, though, I still do collect Pat Tillman. Being a retired vet after 22 years in the Army, I decided one day, guess what? Anything Pat Tillman, I'm going towards him.
Okay.
And of course, the story about him and everything else is everyone knows, and he doesn't have a lot of cards. So he did the rookie, back then and everything. It's an easier person with that PC to collect than say the newer guys, Trevor Lawrence and everybody else, because of many cards there are. However, because of the person he is, he's expensive.
It is expensive.
So yes. So under that aspect, I go towards him. But I'm a diehard Dolphins fan. I'm a diehard Nationals fan. And so that aspect of not so much the card wise, but memorabilia and everything I go towards. Now, I have recently been picking up like cards that are main, like unique or iconic cards, like a Tiger Woods 2001 rookie, PSA 10, LeBron Chrome rookie. I'm picking up these cards to put on display in my man cave because they're iconic cards. I have a Griffey PSA 10, upper deck rookie, and stuff like that.
Very cool. So what's in your man cave from a memorabilia standpoint? 'Cause I love sports memorabilia.
Yeah. So I have a plethora of things, and it's all random. I would say I have about 30 to 40 8x10, 16x20s, all different sizes of signed photo from movie stars like Tom Hanks in a Forrest Gump picture to a bigger Pete Rose, the huge 16x20, to so many of those. But my main focus that I'm going towards now is full-size helmets for football. My plan is, in my man cave, I'm going to have an AFC side and an NFC side. I'm going to have one football full-size helmet of every team signed by someone. It's going to take time because how expensive they are. Yeah. But I got to sit down with my son, sit down with my dad, other people, and I brainstorm like, who would I want from every team? Because, there's teams that it's hard to pick, like the Dallas Cowboys. Like, who are you going to pick from the Cowboys? There's so many options, especially because I'm not a fan of the team, but I'm a fan of the sport. So right now, out of all that, I think I'm up to, 5 full-size helmets out of the 32 teams. So I'm started off good, but it started off with a really big one. I have a full-size 1972 Dolphins helmet with 18 players from the undefeated team.
Oh man, that's great.
Yes.
Great.
But I would say my number one piece is about, you can't even see it. It's extremely big. It's an upper deck authenticated Michael Jordan actual game used floor, 3 colors, red, black, and the tan of the floor, signed, bold signature, and 3 big photos. On my Instagram, I posted it at some point, and it's beautiful. I actually won that in a raffle on Facebook years ago.
Oh wow!
For a fraction of the price. It's Upper Deck has a couple big Michael Jordan pieces on there with smaller pieces of wood, just pure black, that they have for like $25,000 on their website. I don't know what to even
it's huge. As the bigger that floor gets, as you know, with that signature on it, it's a huge piece. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Very good. Michael Jordan in the house. So, do you grade cards? And if you do, and we all know that you're now even throwing about Beckett. Who do you grade with? And then we'll jump into a little bit our thoughts on Beckett.
So I have a concept that I go off of. For the longest time, I always felt, vintage type of cards, thinner cards, PSA all the way. Just like it's a basic look, looks good, clean, and I haven't had any problems with them, honestly. Yeah, the upcharging, is a thing that just a lot of the people in the hobby don't like. But I tell you what, if I send in an order and I know it's gonna be a price and I get an email from PSA saying you're being upcharged, I know I got some good grades back.
That's right.
It makes you happy, right? But I have always said I don't like thick cards in PSA holders. I believe they should all go towards Beckett. But thick cards are also, honestly, they're harder to grade because depending on the product they're in, they're moving around too much, bigger corners, bigger surfaces and stuff. It's hard to get good grades on them. And when they do, that's why they come at a premium. But I am also one of the individuals that, honestly, I don't like the way SGC looks. So I stay away from SGC. It's not for everyone. It's my preference. Not saying it is to everyone, but I just don't like the way it looks. The black tuxedo look, I just don't like it. But that's just my opinion. I like the way PSA and Beckett and more of PSA.
Very cool. So when I first started early 2000s, understanding what grading was, because I can remember at that time, people thought it's going to be short-lived. Like, I don't think a lot of people, especially when you went to your LCS, thought that grading would pretty much have a huge role in the growth potential of a card compared to today. Because I can still remember, we talk about this, the 86 Fleer Jordan was counterfeited a lot. So you would go into shops and they didn't want to buy it from you and they weren't going to sell the card. And grading cards completely changed all that. So I started grading or buying graded cards that were Beckett slabs. I didn't like the PSA slab. Back in the day, the top was paper. Sometimes it would wrinkle on you. It would look a weird way. It just wasn't the eye appeal on it. And people were faking slabs. PSA slabs were getting faked a lot. And then when they started making changes to their slab and less things were getting faked, and they came with different technology on what that label looked like. And then now you can scan with your phone. Smartphone technology, it kind of completely changed the game. So I primarily grade now mainly with PSA, and I'll send some thicker cards to Beckett if I think the grade will be maybe somewhat better, or just the appeal of the card in the slab will look better than what it may look like in a PSA. But a PSA 1010, like if you get an RPA 1010, that thing is tough.
And more people are grading the auto too. It just recently, within a year, I would say, more people are grading both the card and the autograph rather than just doing the one grade.
True. Because
of the premium that is bringing. And you brought up a really good point saying, Beckett back in the day, everything. I think that was also a result of what was the price guide that everyone used back in the day. It was Beckett, right? Everyone's known Beckett. PSA wasn't as out there as Beckett, even though they were around. But Beckett was the limelight. Everyone used it, so more people focused towards Beckett grading back then.
So let's talk about BGS. BGS came out at the Mint. Have you been to the Mint? Did you go to the Mint last year?
I did not go. I wanted to go this year, but of course I was up in the DC area. I went to Chantilly on that Saturday, but I really wanted to go. It really sucks that a couple of these bigger shows aren't multiple different weekends, so more people can enjoy all of them. I was trying. I
had a friend that I came by your table with at the Virginia show. Thomas went to the Chantilly show, FaceTime with me. Show looked great.
Oh, it was packed. I went Saturday and it was nonstop. Everyone was around. There was a lot of people saying they saw more vintage than modern, but the athletes that go there for signatures is one of the best. Just like people say Dallas is great, but or the TriStar show down there. Chantilly, CSA brings some of the best athletes, and a lot of them are decent prices too. And
they were bringing more They were bringing more athletes to the table to get signed before TriStar was. I can remember a national would only have so many people. Now TriStar has almost 40 people signing. Chantilly's been like that for years.
And then Chantilly also has in the backside, a lot of people don't know this, in the movie star role and stuff. Have you ever been you've been to the National, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So National has his movie stars and everything. They're on the backside that aren't like the main guests to get signatures and stuff. They have actually a little row like that in the back too of movie TV stars and B, C list type actors and stuff that are in there too. When I was in there, I didn't see any there during that time frame, but I knew there was some that were set up.
Okay. Did you set up at a table?
I didn't. I've been wanting to. So last year, I think last spring, I went up for 1 day, stayed the night. I set up 2 days, but because I had other things to do with a couple friends from Virginia also, and it did really good. This year I wasn't able to. I want to possibly, they do it like once a quarter. So I think I'm gonna a couple months down the road I'll probably get set up. It's a hefty cost if you don't get some sales and everything. It's a big cost to go towards you. Just those bigger and bigger shows, the tables are more and more and more. Like I'm doing a show in the 22nd of April that it's $50 a table compared to going to Chantilly for the weekend it's like $500.
So let's talk about that before we get to BGS, because you bring up a good point here, and you have a keen perspective because you've been successful at this. What decisions are you making now? There have been some changes in the market. What decisions do you make about what shows you go to when you decide to set up? You just said that you were thinking about maybe once a quarter. Walk us through how your strategy and methodology may be different now than it was 12 months to 18 months ago.
So I would say everyone's different, of course, because everyone's lifestyle and what they have going on is different. This isn't a full-time thing for me, setting up as a vendor. For a lot of individuals, it is. Yeah. They do cards 24/7. They have a shop somewhere or something. This isn't. I retired from the Army, and then I got out and got another job working as a civilian in the Army. So, but it's just a Monday through Friday job. That's easy, right? And so I gear off of multiple things. I don't want to set up more than once a month. Because I'm not really trying to do this to make money. This is a hobby for me. I get this enjoyment, like talking to you, talking to kids, helping educate the hobby than selling, a million cards. Just talking. I can talk sports all day long.
Your table, I got that feeling real quick.
Yeah, all day long. But the selling aspect is just it's a plus. But I go in a few things. One, trying to do only once a month. Two, going around the rest of my family, wanting to spend time with them and everything, with what they have going on, what we all have going on. I have a son that's getting ready to graduate high school. My daughter's a junior.
Congratulations.
Yes. And then my girlfriend's daughter, she is in competitive dance. We just so happened to be in DC this weekend for her dance, so that's why I was able to go to Chantilly for a day. So I gear off of that mainly, and then it's harder to move. I don't want to travel as much because I want to set up at closer shows. So there's a couple promoters in this area that we use. The one that's down in Virginia Beach, but the main one with Tidewater Sports Cards and Collectibles, he does the Richmond area. He does all the way up to like Fredericksburg down. He's in charge of the Raleigh show, which is a big show. I don't know if you've ever been. It's a monster show. So I kind of stick around, closer to these, and he does a lot of different shows. But for, the reason, for picking up cards and everything like that, I know you discussed this before. I've discussed with a lot of people. It's like economics. Right now is the off season in football. It's going to be dropped. Baseball just started. It's going to be up. Patrick Mahomes cards, if you looked at a scale, looked at, card ladder, you look at all the apps that we have for him, right? Even the day after the Super Bowl champ, MVP, his cards already started declining. They weren't going up. He just became the Super Bowl champ because they're in the off season, right? Then you have say Shohei Ohtani right now, beginning of the season, World Baseball Classic is on a rise. It all depends on the season of the sports, and that's how it's been for years. But everyone that just gets in, started with the 2020 boom and everything else, sees the big dip. It's it's not up. That was completely abnormal data. Completely. Everyone was locked in their houses. I wasn't. I was deployed in Afghanistan, so I didn't get to see a lot of stuff. But during it, this happens every year. Right before the National, there's going to be a dip. There always is, because a lot of people aren't spending money because they're going to travel to the National and spend it there. Facebook groups, forums, live sales, everything, they're not going to be making good money, and everyone starts to freak out. They do every year. I've seen it over the past decade.
True.
But you just have to be calm, know what you have. A lot of other things that come into play is people, just because you're not able to sell a card at a show online, eBay, it's probably because it's a card that someone doesn't want right now, right? Maybe the audience you're in, it's not, someone doesn't want. Like around this area in Virginia, Redskins, Ravens, UVA, Virginia players, the Nationals, Orioles, those teams sell because you're in that area. So a lot of times those cards are going to move quick. But, if I have Royals cards, if I have Cubs cards, I might find, one or two of those sellers. For example, James Wiseman cards. I had a few Wiseman cards. You came all the way from LA. Yeah. That card I had for months, and a couple people looked at it. You came right up and you found the right person at the right time. Mm-hmm. That happens. But you just can't get discouraged.
True. So now we got a question or a statement here. Connor says, first he says, "Hey, FD, what's up, Connor? Shows are cool, but eBay is the best." Now we talk about there are different seasonalities going on. Do you find that sometimes you buy more off eBay than you may in another outlet, maybe your local, your LCS or another source?
So eBay is good if you're looking for a specific card. Like it is a platform, like a lot of others, that you can type in the exact card number in search and find it, right, and buy it. To do that at a card show, unless it's a specific, like, one that everyone has and everything, it's going to be harder to find. LCS, it's going to be harder to find. eBay has that outlet of worldwide access to everybody to be able to do it. And then also, Whatnot has, honestly, a lot of people don't know, you can search Whatnot for player cards, because people have a lot of buy it now type of auctions or listings on their Whatnot channels. A lot of people think it's just live. No, I search Pat Tillman on there every other day just to see if there's any new stuff. And I've gotten 2 or 3 of my cards off of there just from putting an offer on a card they have in the listing. Check Out My Cards is another place, and all these places give you that ability for specific. The best for and card shows it's just harder there, honestly.
To me it's like another market, because you go to a card show, sometimes you see some stuff you never thought you would see. When I came to the Virginia show, I had no concept of what I would see. Came in with a very open mind, and a lot of times I try to walk shows with a very open mind. Let me see what I'm going to see. And I try to limit my impulse buying, because you may see some of the first 2 tables that like, oh wow. If you keep moving through the show, you may see something else. But yeah, I'm with you on that. eBay is I usually use for certain cards that I'm really looking for. And just like you have your Pat Tillman search on Whatnot, I'm always searching eBay for certain things almost daily or every other day. So when something is posted, I'm like, okay, let me just watch this for a little bit and see what's going on with it. Patrick says multiple outlets is best. Shows, eBay, Whatnot. Don't pigeonhole yourself. Tom B says fire. Connor, I find card shows sell a lot of cards already on eBay anyway. That's some of that.
There is. Well, the problem with it is you get a specific card, specific set. Prism, for example, right? Everyone, Prism is king. You're going to see those cards everywhere. Why? Is it overproduced? People would say yes. However, you're not going to see a lot of the eminence cards, or the flawless are a little bit less, because that is a more underproduced type of product. Dynasty for baseball and stuff like that.
True. Absolutely true. Yeah, I'll never walk up on a table and be like, man, there's a lot of national treasures on this table. You never really see that. What would you consider your Grail card in your collection?
So last year at the National, I went searching for it, and I didn't find it. So it was a 2020 Optic Football downtown of Pat Tillman. With him being my PC, I had to find one. I couldn't find one. So what's really funny was at the National, Golden had to what would be your dream card or whatever, write your dream card. So I did. Pat Tillman downtown, put my handle Army ATC 22, And Pac-Man Cards, he actually used me as one of the 3 he went looking for it to buy me one. But he couldn't find one. There was one on the floor, PSA 10, but I didn't have the budget to spend $2,000 for it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he couldn't find one, and he actually bought me the National Treasures, I believe, out of 17 Stars and Stripes variation, and got sent to me for free. Him and Golden were, together. It was in one of his videos. It was pretty cool.
That's very cool, man.
A week later, after the National, set up at a show here in Richmond, one of the dealers there had one. Raw. I was just looking for a raw one because I didn't need to spend the extra price for grade because it's just going to be in my collection. And I ended up picking it up.
Very nice.
So I was extremely happy to get it. It was great. It's an extremely iconic card with the American flag and
flag.
So I was extremely happy to get it. But that's my Grail card that I've gotten. So now I got to have another Grail card, right? That I'd like to get. It'd be a cut auto of him, honestly. Pat Tillman cut autograph. He only has a couple out there. I think a couple flawless, and other things. But so there's a difference. Grail cards, right? And then you have the cards that the prized possessions, ones that mean the most to me. And I have it right here too. I'm going to show you. So I grew up playing all sports, basketball, football was when I was a little younger, but not so much when I grew up more, and baseball, mainly baseball and basketball. One of the kids that I grew up with in high school actually got drafted by the Mets and made it to the show. He was a pitcher for the Mets. His name was Toby Stoner. He was in 2010 products.
Okay.
It was the only year. And for rookie cards, he had his Bowman first card was in 2007 Chrome. I have every parallel of his Bowman Chrome rookie card except for the Superfractor. I have one of the reds. I have a ton of the oranges out of 25, tons of the golds out of 50, and so on and so on. I have a stack of them. But the one card that yep, right there he is.
Very cool.
The one card that I have from him was in 2010. They had and Finest. They had the Letterman set. So the Letterman set was their initials from the thing, and they had all different parallels from $3.99 all the way down to reds out of 5, and then the one of one was actually a booklet.
Wow.
Signed, every initial from his name signed. One of one.
That's very cool.
Yep. And you can see on the back, one of one.
Very cool.
When this popped up on eBay, I didn't even chew a counter or anything else. I just bought it outright because I knew I had to have it. I grew up with him, know him really well, and I have almost every parallel of his actual cards that's in existence. So it was pretty cool.
You still stay in contact with him?
Oh yeah, he lives back home and everything. He got hurt. He had to have surgery, so he had to, he couldn't really stay in the league and everything. So he went back home, and I think he works at a prison or anything now as one of the head correctional type individuals, and teaches pitching and baseball on the side. Actually,
very cool. Still got the passion for the sport. That's very cool. Very cool. So many athletes, their careers are cut shorter than they wanted because of some injury. So, Toby Stoner, I remember that one. You know, if I come across anything, I'm gonna hit you up, bro.
Oh, that'd be great. The extremely rare stuff. Like if I need to put a post with a bounty of his super, because I haven't seen it. Hasn't popped up, and it's not going to be super expensive, right? But not too many people are opening 2007 Bowman Chrome.
True.
So that's the problem.
That's true. Connor says, I found card shows sell a lot of cards already on eBay. We already talked about that. Angie says prices at card shows are very reasonable. Okay. I think it's, for me, I've seen it. It depends on who's selling and where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree with that, because vendors are usually into the cards for a certain price.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you get a big lot deal, you see a lot of the content creators, you know, taking multiple cards out, trying to get a better deal and better deal, right? That is to help them, you know, more sell at cost if they have it, you know. So if someone comes up and I have a card right at, you know, comp price at just recent, you know, but I got it in a huge deal where I had technically on that card, I'm, you know, $50 less in, I'm now making $50 on it, right? You know, and you're buying it at whatever you searched out on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, but then there's another side of that, and I talked to a lot of people about that at the shows. You have to think like a card show, LCS. It's a convenience store. It's honestly like a convenience store for you. You can buy it on eBay. You can buy it on Facebook. You can buy it on these places. Wait, you know, 5-6 days for it to come in, or you can buy it right now for a little bit more, and you have it in your hand. It's just like, think about the analogy is like a gallon of milk. All right, a gallon of milk at a grocery store is what, you know, compared to at a convenience store. It's
Sure.
like twice as much. It's
Sure.
exactly the same type of concept.
That's a great analogy. I've never thought about it like that, but there is a convenience factor.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Connor, my dream car is Court King's Mount Zion insert, but it's priced out of my budget. When were booklets first made? I don't know when booklets were first made.
I'm trying to think. I think in earlier, so of course Tops, they're the ones that were making them. They're making them. I don't know when they started making them in triple threads. That might have been the earlier first products they did them. I'm not 100% sure either.
So let's talk about Beckett. So Beckett announced at the Mint that they're going to make some changes to the grading scale. Now, when you first heard this, because I've asked this question to a few people, sometimes when these big announcements come, like, where were you at and what did you think?
So we were already in DC. I saw it just blow up all over Instagram, was the main place I saw it first. Everyone was reporting it. And I thought one thing, right? I thought Beckett was in the mindset of trying to get a level with PSA because their 10s are gem mints, right? They don't have a pristine.
Yes.
But I think they just took it too far, honestly. You know, I would have had no problem with it, honestly, if they just tried to say, okay, this is what a PSA 10, a BGS 10 gem mint is, and then that's it. Just one, and that's it. And then it's pristine black, right? But the way they came out saying, you know, you barely had to have one 10, and you made a 10. I think that they went that whole route, just made it wrong, not more of a, we want to be more comparable to PSA. They have their 10's a gem mint. Let's make ours a gem mint also. But we're still one step above them. We have pristines, right? Maybe cut out the pristine, and only pristine's a black label, right? You have a gem mint 10 is for all the other 10s, and then pristine is pristine, the best, right?
So when I heard about it, I immediately thought, what's up with the cards that are 295s and 29s?
Yeah, I mean,
you just downgraded those cards.
You did.
And if somebody has been holding, there's some people out here have been holding Beckett slabs for like 20-something years. I just got rid of a LeBron 2 weeks ago that I had since 2003. And that was, I think it had 19395s. I mean, where's that card at? If this grade scale goes, so I thought to myself, oh, people are not going. That's not going to sit well with folks. I also have some other cards that are 110, 395s, but I'm thinking about in totality, that's not going to sit well. Start reaching out and talking on Instagram with several different people, asking questions. What do you think about this? And I go back to, I've been in shows, I think all of us have, and I've asked people, hey, what do you, in the past, just arbitrary questions, so what do you think about different grading companies? And people will say, well, I really don't care for 9.5s. I'd rather see a 10. So maybe whoever Beckett pulled into a room said the same thing. I just want to see 10s. But that still doesn't take into account the history of cards that you have graded a 9.5 that are in existence, that are in collections, that people are hoping that are rising in value, and you just told them that it's worth less. So I say, I've been thinking about this last couple of days. Like, Beckett should stop making announcements and just do what they're going to do.
Yeah, just keep rolling with it, right?
Because these grandiose announcements, I mean, I don't know,
So I tell you what, though, look at the power of the internet. It's the same as, what was it? The Sonic the Hedgehog stuff that happened. The movie Sonic the Hedgehog, how they first showed the first picture of them and backlash. The next thing you know, we're remaking them, we're remodeling them, right? I meant the backlash quickly. Everyone first, because it was the day before. It wasn't April 1st when they announced it. It was the 31st.
The day before, March 31st.
Right? Yeah, and then everyone's like, well, this is just an early April Fool's joke, right? Because they can't really be doing this. The first happened, nothing. The second, though, they're like, we're coming back on this. We're not actually going to go with this.
I think what makes it interesting, though, is that at the National, you were there, they announced the new logo. Mm-hmm. People ripped that up.
Oh, yes, and have they done it since?
They walk back on that. Then they come out at the Mint with this, and they walk back on that.
Well, the main thing about I think it was true. The main thing about their announcement that they made just recently about this, the picture that they had on the wall had no 10s, right? They were all 9.5.
All 9.5s at first, and then they adjusted it to 110.
Yeah. They quickly jumped on that. But
I think what people should know, though, typically, if you're in the hobby, attention to detail, most people are high on that.
And I was gonna. That's why one thing I was gonna bring up was seeing individuals at the shows and everything that I'm set up at. We have a couple that are there. They're coming up. They're like, I have a 10, 9, 9.5 or whatever. The price range for different cards. If you're more attention to detail, they're gonna pay more for those 10s for 2 10s instead of 1 10 and everything. That's already there.
That's right.
So the other mindset that I was thinking, just because they put a 10 label on it, guess what? The subgrade, the pricing should have never changed. Just because it's a BGS 10 now, if people are keeping the same value that 395s and 110 already was as a 9.5, that price should have been exactly the same because those subgrades never changed.
I agree. I think it's more in my mind of the people who have that lesser 9.5.
Yeah.
What are those people doing? Those people kind of left in the dust.
No. Got the national championship game on over here.
Oh, I got it on over here too. So feel free. If you hear something, you got your volume, and you see, feel free.
I got it on mute.
That's all good. Yeah, I have it on mute too. You'll see me look over.
What do you think about the game? What do you think about the game last night?
What did I think of it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought LSU would win from the beginning. I kind of thought of Iowa as a one-dimensional team. When you get past Clark, I mean, she's the catalyst of everything. She was representing 64% of scoring.
Mm-hmm.
She was the catalyst of everything. So, but what LSU did different than South Carolina, they made her work. So they made her play defense. They attacked her with the ball, and they were right up on her playing defense when she had the ball. So, and you start clearing out with the arm and start getting fouled.
You think the same thing would have happened if South Carolina beat Iowa? If they would have played against
probably something similar.
Because a month ago, South Carolina beat them by like 20-some points.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the problem is a lot of people don't understand. Everyone's focusing on the one thing, right? They're focusing on the wrong stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's only a couple sports that it's one person. Golf, tennis. Those are sports that is on the individual. The rest, team. They're team sports. One person's not going to help you win it. You have to be team. LSU had the team. Their best scorer last night came off the bench.
Yes.
Arguably, I thought she was the MVP.
Yes.
But
and they had a young lady in the first half hitting threes, 5 for 5 from the three, that was struggling the entire tournament.
Yep.
So they had a squad.
Yep.
It's just interesting how things go in the world of sports. So we're from two different parts of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I grew up in a place, trash talking. It's synonymous with the game. We're not getting out here and doing anything. And almost anything that someone can say in an athletic competition. I have heard that.
Exactly.
I don't know. The whole hand thing. First, when I saw Reese pointing to the finger, I immediately thought of Steph Curry. Boston.
Yep.
Deciding game, pointing to the finger. I was like, oh man, she's doing a Steph Curry. Then when she started doing the hand thing, I watched, so I knew it instantly that this is her getting at Clark. Clark said in the post-game press conference that she didn't notice. Somebody's 3 feet away from you doing this. I think you noticed that. So
yeah,
it's just a part of the game to me, but it's interesting the reaction on Twitter to that.
Oh, people just blew it up. You know, I go off of, you know, everyone's saying no one really ragged on Caitlin for when she did it to South Carolina. You know, there were two different time frames of the game too. You know, Caitlin did it real fast to the crowd, not to South Carolina. And what's her name? She was doing it straight to Caitlin, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're in the game. They're playing the game. They played their butts off over this last few weeks, right? You know, allow them to have it. Like you said, everyone who has played these sports, even the ones that are just chirping, they've probably seen some type of trash talk somewhere.
This is true. You know, we grew up saying if you're not talking, you're not playing.
Exactly. That's exactly. So where I grew up is in the boondocks, right? I grew up in a 1A school. You know, the competition wasn't as much, but when we played more, you know, farther into Maryland and everything else like that, it got a little bit harder for us, right? Because we're used to the coal miners and the hardworking man out there, and didn't have we didn't play a lot of street ball. We played inside the gyms because in a community that you didn't have to lock your doors, right, when you left for the day. You didn't have to worry about locking your cars and everything else. You know, crime isn't that much in there, and you know the outlets that a lot of ballparks and basketball courts and everything give the youth in those environments is just what they grow up in, and some of the bad stuff gets around there, and then that's what just sucks.
Yeah, I became accustomed to that when I got to college. So I went to a school in a small Missouri town, and no one locked their doors. No one locked their car doors. No one locked their apartment up. None of that. And coming from Chicago, we were all like, what's going on? Yeah. But being there for 4 years, you start becoming accustomed to that. By the time we graduated, we had to shake ourselves back into the real world. but I can understand that. I'm like FD to trade out of LeBron. No one is buying LeBron. Have you noticed I saw you trade your LeBron for Wiseman? Oh yeah, I've moved several LeBron James cards. To some people, very unpopular moves. I look at a card individually, so I'll lead this up, Connor. Like I started looking at the Topps Chrome, right, and I started thinking to myself, it has a pop of 2,300, a little bit more. It's not a number card. The card went up to about $55,000, but where's it going to end at? I don't know. So I think when I moved mine, so to tell you the story, I had a Topps Chrome Raw, several, from 2003. I used to open packs when LeBron was a rookie, and I still had them in storage. And I pulled them out maybe about a year and a half ago, and got one I thought was about the best centering. Edges looked good. Got that graded. It came back a 10. And I sat with that card for a little while, and I just kept monitoring the prices. Went from 9 to 8, and started approaching 7. And I thought to myself, should I move this card to something that may be more of a prospect? You know, for a lot of people, that was a crazy move. But I'm unorthodox in a lot of stuff that I do. And I go through analysis on what I want to do. And if I think it's something that is well thought out and worthwhile, then I would do that. I think that's what kind of people chasing 9.5 BGS now. Yeah. It's interesting, you know. Sometimes you got to get out of the box on some things. But
well, you know, and everyone's different, right? You were going towards, your collection right now. You get a good point. You know, that LeBron card, the pop point, pop reports over $2,000, right? There's over 2,000 of that card. You know, there's a better opportunity for you to get that card back
Yeah, you can get
Right.
that card back. I
Without-
thought about that as well. If I wanted
Yeah.
it back, I could get it back.
But again, you're collecting. Every person's different. Just because you get rid of a big card doesn't mean you're not refocusing that money into other things that are geared towards you. Not everyone is the same.
And that's what I love about the hobby, because you can do what you want to do in the hobby.
Exactly.
A lot of times we act like, you'll find people that are collectors or investors or flippers or whatever. They act like there's only one way of doing something. But there are many, like you name teams that are in your market that nobody in LA is probably buying.
Nope.
But there is a market there. No one's out there probably buying the Dodgers and the Rams, but there's a market here. And then there are different players that you may like. Some people may buy things because it brings back something intrinsic in their youth, or you talked about Pat Tillman because you have a connection with that. It's not just about the dollars. Like, I didn't even ask you, are you going to grade that card? I didn't even ask you that.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really matter.
It doesn't. One thing that I truthfully, the media bias, right? We have everyone just forcing everything down your throat. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things that I honestly hate about influence these days is showing the big cards. It's great to show them off, the multi-$1,000 cards, $50,000, $100,000 cards. Those are incredible cards. But that 10-year-old, that 9-year-old that's opening a pack probably doesn't have the ability, even remotely close. There's some people that do, I'm not saying it's everybody, to even get anything remotely to that. So when then they pull, something smaller, disappointment's there. Mm-hmm. That's why I like influencers like, Card Collector 2, Ryan, and a lot of them showing the value box type of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Showing that the average collector, actually, I would say probably even more, 90% of the hobby is going to buy $20 to like $150 stuff.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Compared to 500 up plus stuff. Why? It's because the working man, what they get paid every 2 weeks, right? They're not going to go spend their whole paycheck on one card. A lot of people aren't going to do that. If they're going to invest, they're investing in stuff in long term that they might be able to get out real quick. And cards is not a really good thing to do that real fast. There are the people that can do that, that have the resources to do that. But I honestly believe 90% of the hobby is more of that smaller range. And if you're trying to sell and you have a plethora of that, my table, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that come to my tables. That's what I have.
Yeah.
And I'm getting more traffic. And then the other individuals that are sitting there with super high dollar value stuff saying, I didn't sell a thing today. This show sucked. Well, maybe you should relook at your, what
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. What is your assortment looking like? What are the price? Just like any market.
Mm-hmm.
It's like any place you go. Like we go to shows here, under $350, $400 is moving. That's what people are in value boxes. Like we went to the Burbank Card Show. Dollar bins, people are all over that stuff.
All over, because they have that easily accessible. You can go to the ATM and get a couple $100. Yeah. You can't go. Majority of banks, you can't go to the ATM and pull out $1,000 because it's over your limit.
Yeah.
Right. So.
So I mean, but people don't realize too, it's about the patience game when it comes to the hobby. Let's say you pick a $2 and a $2 bin, you got a $5 card. All right, that's 2.5x.
I'll show you a card. All right, that if I waited the patient game, he's out in your area too, by the way. Anaheim. You might know someone named Mike Trout, right?
Yeah.
I pulled this card actually on deployment in beginning of 2010. So what we do, there's a couple of card collectors that was on deployed with me in Afghanistan. Blowout cards would actually ship boxes, cases to us direct straight to the base, because I was on a big base.
Okay.
And then in between missions, our off time and stuff, I'd open cards. I had my own supplies. I had cases there. I had everything just to keep everything good. And I pulled
something special.
This card. Mike Trout, orange, 1 of 25 refractor. Now, I sold that card raw at the time for $700.
Okay.
Because I wasn't that in-depth in the prospecting, didn't really know it, right?
Mhm.
I think that card right now is evaluated at like $500,000 to $750,000 because it's graded 9.5/10, right? I saw it pop back up in a Facebook group years ago after the trout boom was happening and stuff, and I knew that was my card because it was 1 of 25, so I knew that was the one I pulled. So I had to take the picture, save it, and everything.
That's
But
great stuff.
the aspect of holding on to cards and waiting for value, it's what you. This is the one thing I wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
Was it depends on your opinion, right? Mike Trout base rookie cards from this year were selling for $25.
Mhm.
How many Bowman Chrome first autos right now are selling for around the $25 range? Adley Rushman's not.
No.
Jackson Holliday's not straight out the gate. He
Mhm.
wasn't. He was not. So those players that are in that range and lower, if you're looking at their stats, you're looking at everything, you can hold them and possibly make more money. Another prime example is your boy Wiseman.
That's
his
right.
His rookie year. There was one player I was extremely high on because he was averaging tons of points a game. He was the 12th overall pick, not the second. That's Halliburton.
Mhm.
Tyrese Halliburton for the Kings was killing it.
Yeah.
All rookie team, first all rookie team.
Yeah, when they moved them, people thought they were crazy.
Yeah, and he was selling for fraction of the price
right.
of everybody, right? Because he was in a market that the Kings weren't really going anywhere.
Mhm.
Now, what's Halliburton doing right now? He's averaging 20-10,
He's
20
all
points,
Yeah.
and he's an all-star, right?
Mhm.
If you got onto Halliburton early, I did a little bit, and I was able to get out fast enough and make some money. Those are the type of things. Just do your research, do
That's
some homework. See how they played in college, how they did, and everything. So
Yeah, watch the game. That's why I always use the statement that if it was only that easy to just go off where they were drafted at, just think back in history, then everybody would be buying Sam Bowie right now, not Michael Jordan. It's
yeah,
never
I
that
mean,
easy. You gotta watch the
no,
game. You gotta see what's
no
going
one would have bought Brock Purdy.
No.
No.
People didn't know who he was.
Nope.
That's
Mr.
why it's funny.
Irrelevant. He's
But
irrelevant now.
going back to what you just said about the Trout card, I always talk about the life cycle of a card. Every huge card, 50,000, 100,000, $250,000, $1 million card, at one point was a $200 card.
Yep.
Did you get into that card around that time? And just for you to have a story, you know how many people never have the story you just told? That you pulled that, you had that in your hand, and then you sold it for a profit. That was part of the life cycle of that card.
And what a lot of people don't, that person who has that card doesn't know that it was actually opened out of a pack in Afghanistan too. And actually, I'll show you another one on another. I used to open a lot of exquisite National Treasures too. This one was also pulled in Afghanistan.
Oh wow!
Limited logo out of 23.
Wow.
Jordan. Yeah. And they sold that card also. So
you got hot hands, man. You got hot hands.
Yep, that's what I'm known for. And everyone like the picture that was on the avatar that I sent you. That was, if you look at my YouTube channel, that is the one that I'm known for pulling. My first ever, it was my first ever hosting a group break on YouTube, basketball one.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first exquisite box. It was Durant's rookie year. I pulled it and I went nuts.
That's all I was about to ask you. What did it feel like to pull something like that? Like I think the biggest card I pulled is a Kobe patch jersey, SP back in the day. I have really, I probably haven't opened packs in years and years and years. But what does it feel like when you realize what you're holding in your hand?
It's that rush, everyone's different opening packs. And a lot of times now people are searching for this big stuff. A lot of people are just having the ability to open something, especially during the COVID boom when, a lot of people couldn't find retail, that's the only things that they were opening because LCSs were closed and everything else. You couldn't really get product. Just having the ability to open something, everyone has that feeling. But when you're in, hosting group breaks, when you're doing boxes, you're spending a few $100s for these boxes or thousands of dollars for these boxes, and you get this card. And people that are opening, majority of them, know what the hobby is. They know where the prices of cards are and everything, right? So you sit down and you see this card. Like of course, you're looking at the video, you look at my reaction. I see it when I before I show it, and I just start freaking out because I know Logo Mans are big.
Oh yeah.
And two of the best, point guards of all
game. Yeah.
of the game, on one card is just incredible. That's why, I wanted to spend, sometime talk about, what Topps is doing, right? With the MLB debut.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah.
Patches, right? So a lot of people are comparing them, the Logo Man to the MLB Logo Man to NFL Shields. They're not. They don't understand. They're not. Because how many products does a rookie have in NFL Shield? Spectra, National Treasures, Flawless, Absolute. All these products, tons and tons of shields. Mm-hmm. Baseball, they'll have the MLB logo in Inception. They'll have them in Dynasty. They'll have them in Flawless. They'll have them in all these other, products. Tons of shields and everything else. But that MLB debut is only one. There's only going to be one of those for these rookies in the major league. And the prices are going to be astronomical.
It's going to be
for these. And talk about being inventive. What Fanatics and Michael's doing over there with Topps and everything is just that news just blew up the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I think it's going to be more of that. There's going to be more game worn pieces in a card with some data about the player's performance in that card with a date. There's going to be things that will connect you right to the court, field, everything. There's going to be a piece of base that's significant to the World Series game that this team won in the 9th inning. There's going to be things like that.
So Topps has been doing that slowly throughout the years already. A lot of people don't. I mean, they knew with Tribute. Tribute was the one that had the stickers that are actually on the pieces showing you what game it was and everything. But one of the main sets in, I believe, Series 1 used to be for the flagship Topps was the World Series sets, the jersey sets, the auto sets, mainly like the memorabilia sets, because those memorabilia were supposed to be from the World Series the year prior. Mm-hmm. So they were slowly doing that stuff, just not making it more of this was, the game-winning game jersey of, of the series, but this being directly, boom, that's their patch. And I talked to people about this past weekend. Me being a rookie, having a jersey, that's my first ever jersey debut and everything. I wouldn't want no one to touch it. I'm like, this is coming home with me. And
I agree.
Having that MLB debut patch on it will just, solidify. Yeah, this shows you as my first one. But I think the agreement that they have that they don't even know that was coming off, or they do know it was coming off and everything. So they had to give it up, but that jersey was staying with them.
Hey, Bo. That the debut patch is going to cause a frenzy. Yes, it will.
Well, with them having the rights to basketball too, down the road and everything else like it. Crazy.
You're going to have some stuff that's 5th, 4th, 5th, 6-year player stuff that's going to be crazy. Mm-hmm. Not just the rookies. It's going to be crazy.
Yep.
Connor says, I love ripping packs. Nothing beats it. Hollywood says, I have a few boxes for you to open for me. Hands, man. Feed the guys. Feed the guys. Always good to have you here. Good evening, everyone. Can't wait to catch up with you again. Yeah. Got to see each other. Hollywood, well, you can shop at Gucci or Target, 2 different crowds. There are 2 different crowds. So that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
Connor has a question. Would you sell or hold Trevor Lawrence right now? I'm holding, but will his prices drop later? What do you think?
So I think he's if you can find Trevor Lawrence right now, I think he's definitely a buy. They are the favorite to win the South, right? Look at the rest of the AFC South. The Titans are trying to move Derrick Henry. They don't know what's going on with their quarterback situation. The Texans, of course, they're the Texans. So, however, if the Texans get the quarterback from Alabama, right? If they get the Bryce Young, who do they have as a receiver? One of his old receivers, Meshe. He didn't play this year because he was hurt. But next year, him playing, if they get Bryce Young, that connection, Burrow and Chase, all those connections for those individual teams that they played in college, that might be a thing, right? Tua in Miami, my Dolphins with Waddle. But so I believe his cards are going to go up. Look at, one thing you have to look at if you're looking to make money on cards and players and stuff, when the schedule comes out. I talked to Seablez about this at the last national. When the schedules get released for the NFL, if you want to go the NFL route, look to see what teams they're playing right off the bat. Because if the Jags are playing the Texans and who's some other teams, teams that aren't supposed to be winning, right off the bat. They have an easy schedule right off the bat.
Yeah.
You're going to see that he should win, get a lot of stats. And then right here at week 6 is probably when you should move it if you believe, you could even set that type of aspect up when the schedules are released. But again, it's opinion based. We have the data, from the teams from the previous year, what they're doing in preseason. But in the end, it's your emotions, how you feel the team's going to be.
Sure.
Any play that you do, it's what you feel. Sometimes you get the media bias, everyone pushing for this play or whatever. But in the end, you're making the deal, you're making the purchase, you're making the long haul or not. You need to make that decision and go off either your gut or what your numbers say in front of you. I feel Trevor Lawrence is going to be good. I think they're going to win this out. They're going to make to the playoffs. So I think he's actually a buy.
I agree with you. I have a gentleman I know in the hobby named Imani. He's huge on Trevor Lawrence. We talk all the time. Early this past season, I thought Trevor Lawrence couldn't make the throws he needed to make as a quarterback. I think he showed that he can make mistakes, but he had ice in his veins when he went to the playoffs, threw 4 interceptions, and then threw 4 touchdowns. I think he's a very marketable player. I think that goes into everything that we're talking about as far as the hobby and values and what people are looking for in a player. I think he's definitely a buy. I think he's someone that you're going to see his cards climb. And like you just said, when will you sell? Will you hold all season? Is it something that you want to hold long term? Or what do you want to do with it? Yeah, UConn's up right now.
Yeah, they are. I just saw.
I predict UConn will win this game handedly. So being here in LA, I know a lot of people who have went to San Diego State or who are from San Diego. People are very hyped. They should be. Their squad has never been on this level before. I just felt like when we started talking about down to the per player and the talent, UConn will win this game. But we'll see. They're about 16 right now. But I believe Trevor Lawrence is a buy.
You also have to think, right? He has another weapon that they didn't have last year, Calvin Ridley. He's coming. He's starting this year, and he was a great receiver at Alabama.
And their running back is nice. So they put a little squad together. Patrick says, "What's your best Golden State Warrior card, FD?" It's a Steph Curry card. There's some Steph Curry cards I tried to get early in the game when I thought I did some research and felt like this guy's cards are really undervalued, and I was pushing to get as much Steph Curry as I could in about a 6-month period. So I would say it's probably a Steph Curry card.
So
I want to get
Patrick is a diehard Golden State Warrior fan like yourself. He sets up the shows with me. Yeah.
Patrick. All right.
Yeah.
You gotta make
He's
sure
always looking. I think I still have the message from him when I was in Chantilly asking if there's any big Curry cards and under 5K. Let me know if I saw any. I didn't see any. But he sends every time he knows I'm at a bigger show, he asks for me to look around.
All right. Patrick, very cool. Good to meet you. Patrick, you gotta let me know what you think of the Wiseman trade. Let me ask you, what did you think of the Wiseman trade?
I felt like they didn't give him enough time to develop.
I agree.
Honestly, yeah, they thought his development was sending him back down to G League, right? He needs to be developed more, need to have more playing time with the big dogs, up there and everything. But where does he fall in place with the rest of that team, right? With the rest of the team around him in Golden State. I think it was when they drafted him, they were drafting the best player possible at the time.
Yep.
Right. And it just didn't fit in their mindset. It didn't fit in the rotation. he is the type of player that he should be starting, but they were drafting him for him to come off the bench.
Yes.
Yeah, at number 2 pick overall.
Drafted him to be a taller loony.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 2 pick overall should not be coming off the bench.
No. Or worried about, am I playing the next 5 games?
Mm-hmm.
I just got to be for a young guy or a young lady that's got to be like wild, like. But you see everybody else in the draft. You see LaMelo over here. You see Anthony Edwards over here. You see Halliburton over here. Several other players are doing their thing, and you're like just sitting there.
Yeah, and it was hard. I mean, his injuries also didn't help, right? So I mean, that never helps with anyone. But that draft class now, honestly, how many people are talking about Melo right now? Not many.
Not many.
They're even slowly not even talking about Anthony Edwards anymore.
That's right.
Honestly, he was huge. But that class has a lot of talent overall, but it's just like they're fiddling away. It happens every year. The new talent comes up. Next year when Victor comes up, he's going to be freaking everywhere. Chet comes back. He actually gets to play finally for the Thunder. They have a little squad too. A lot of young talent, but it happens every year, and they just slowly die. And like Donovan Mitchell, right? Like, come on. You want to talk about one of the most undervalued players in for NBA cards?
Why do you think he's so undervalued, though?
I have no clue, none whatsoever. Like it's crazy. I bought a PSA 10 just base prism of him this weekend in Chantilly for $35. Makes no sense.
To me, he's one of those players that I think people are looking to see what is he going to do. Well, he had 12 games this year with the Cleveland Cavaliers where he scored over 40 points.
He had 70, didn't he? 71.
70. I thought that when he came to that team that Garland would take the back seat. Garland is taking the back seat. There was a reason why they brought him in. We'll see over time what happens. There's just some players that fall into that. That's another part of picking who you think is the future, is how they're going to be perceived by people. Just like if you look at Bradley Beal. Comes out, he's averaging 23, almost 24 points a game this year.
So I think, the different markets and stuff have to come into play. You have Jason Tatum and you have Donovan Mitchell, right? Arguably, you look at them, they're the same player. They're not, but they're the same player. Yeah. Boston market compared to Utah market when he was in Utah. Now he's in Cleveland, of course. Completely different. Completely different, right? Especially Utah not making it to the playoffs. Boston always making the playoffs. But you look at their averages. I don't have it in front of me. I didn't really look. I could be
pretty
talking. They have to be similar. Yeah. They're those type of players exactly the same.
And I'm in LA. Like I'm thinking about it today. I have a Tatum card that I would like to move. It's kind of hard to move that card in LA.
It
is. Funny how it works out like that. Hollywood says, what do you think about sports card radio? Are they watchdogs of the industry or just shit? What do you think?
There's people out there that, that make the content for certain reasons, right? I think they mean good, right, from aspects, but at the same time, they're the ones that aren't afraid to say something. A lot of people are going to hold their tongue for a lot of things because they're afraid they're going to get bashed, destroyed, or whatever like that. But there are the few individuals that come out there and they'll be like, they're not afraid. These platforms are here for speak your mind. I joined the Army and fought for this country for freedom of speech. That's what this is, like, right? Now going too far with slanderous type posts without having facts and everything else, that's too far, right? But
that stuff does get you noticed.
It does. There's a lot of people, so many people talk about sports card radio because of the stuff that that they're doing. Their edits and stuff, bring some humor and everything in, but the stuff that they have with with Jeff Wilson and everything else and everything, sometimes it just goes too far. But it's all entertainment. I'm subscribed to them on YouTube. I watch and listen to their stuff. There's some things that are out there that I didn't even know about that they bring to the table.
Yeah.
But it's some people like it, some people like the drama, some people don't. It depends on how you are.
But it's definitely the news of the hobby, and the recent content, they have kind of moved away from certain content they made in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I made a recent episode about Sasha T, and were very complimentary of who he is as a person. Talked to him at a show, talked to him at the Del Mar show in Del Mar, California. They talked about showing up to shows and setting up tables and being, I guess, a part of the community within a show. So there's some evolution. I think that the whole time I thought there's going to be some evolution here.
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to keep with, I just didn't see them continuously doing what they were doing. But, if we're out and we see them, want to say what's up?
Yeah.
Have a conversation with them.
That's all you can do. Just because a lot of people, it's easier for someone to be a certain way in front of a camera when no one else is around. Right?
Oh, it's easy for people to be a certain way with a keyboard and leaving comments.
Correct, right? But as soon as you're in front of them,
oh yeah,
how's that change? Are you that same person? You should be. You should never be different. Always be the same.
I agree. Connor asks, "What about Justin Fields? Buy or not?" I think he's a buy. What do you think?
Why do you think he's a buy? I'm going to ask you that.
Because of what the Bears potentially are trying to do, and once the draft solidifies itself, once you know what they're going to do with these picks that they gave up in order to keep him, then he's probably really going to be a little bit more marketable in the short term. I'm thinking as far as I don't own any Justin Field cards, but I'm thinking about people who are looking to buy and sell. When you talk about young quarterbacks, what the Bears are doing has moved him into, he might do this year. He has this wide receiver. He has that wide receiver. Let's say they add a few more pieces. He might do the Bears are typically, I'm a Bear fan. I've watched the Bears since I was a child. Bears are never talked about when it comes to pregame draft, preseason draft, what's going on with the Bears, speculation in a positive way. So if he's at the helm and he has that, people are going to be interested in his cards. Soon as the trade was announced, I'm looking at shows where people are buying Fields, like it's selling, buying Fields. That's why I think so.
I believe, they picked up, who was that wide receiver that they just recently picked up? The bigger one.
From the Carolina Panthers.
They got it in the trade. DJ Moore.
Yeah, Moore.
I think the deal was good for the trade, even without DJ Moore. Like them getting him on top was crazy. And I'm still not 100% believe that the Panthers are going to even pick first. I think the Colts might jump up for that pick.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's just me. And the Colts trade down. I mean, the Panthers trade down and get more picks.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see how that hangs out. But back to the Fields thing. I think if they focus on defense, right, they have to, because
porous. Yeah.
If defense, a lot of people say defense wins championships. There's only a few teams out there that can go toe to toe, score. And if one team scores, you're going to have to score too. And if your defense can't stop them, can you keep up with them? Can you constantly keep scoring? That's what these teams are they're trying to do, and they're not being able to do it. With Fields, I think he pushes himself too much to get the play done.
I agree.
That's going to turn into possibly like an RG3 problem with getting.
Well, you got hurt last year.
Right?
Hurt last year. Yeah.
Right. And if you put too much, because that boy can run, he's good, right? But the quarterback, of course, the quarterback position is evolving, mainly, having more of a mobile type of quarterback. But if you focus, you should not be, the quarterback should not be the rushing leader of the team.
Guys, Michael Vick showed us that. Yeah.
Correct. Right. And the Michael Vick story is just, his arm strength back then was just getting stronger and stronger every year. He had the legs, and his accuracy was getting. And then when of course, we went to jail and everything, we went to prison, it was just stopped. it would have been, who knows where he would have been, right, if that didn't happen, because every year he was getting better in the passing game because he had the ground game already.
What's crazy about Vic is if you watch the ESPN documentary, he's like, I never read the playbook.
That's crazy.
It's about how he played. He never really read the playbook. It's all instinct, throwing the ball, running.
But wasn't that Jamarcus Russell too?
Mm-hmm. But Jamarcus Russell wouldn't even watch tape.
Yeah, that's what it was. They gave him a blank tape and he came back.
That was crazy. He's making up stuff about what was on the film, and they're like, okay. Hollywood, I agree, and I think in an industry that has a lot of scamming and deceit, you need someone to call people out. It's the same in the poker industry. We have a watchdog called Poker Fraud Alert Radio. I think the only thing for me, and we talked about this a little bit, is when you cross over to a whole nother zone for shock value. To really reach out to TV and grab someone and just, did you hear what I just said? It's when things to me get very interesting. Now, if we just want to talk about what's in the hobby, what's in the industry, what are people seeing? Did you know this happened? Go for it. But when you go way outside the bounds of things, is when things get very interesting.
Yep.
This is where I'm at. I think I got a few more questions for you. This has been a great conversation, man. I've been looking forward to this ever since we met each other.
Yeah.
I know it would be a fun conversation.
Well, it's good because, you're how many people do you talk to, mainly on just the West Coast, right? How much West Coast?
Yeah, you're very far east. Now, I've went to Atlanta. I've talked to people not in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Not in your area. So it's it's a but when I came out to the show, I was telling Mr. Thomas that I was excited because I wanted to meet people and see a different market and see what cars were being sold and have conversations with people. And then when he walked me. I don't know if you know this story.
Mm-mm.
He walked me over. So you got to talk to this guy. We walked past like 5 tables, came to your table. That's when I saw Wiseman and we started talking. And then we backtracked after we left your table. But he definitely wanted me to meet you. He's a veteran as well. And he thought highly of you, liked your content, and he thought we'd have a good conversation, which we did.
Yes. I mean, that's, like I said, these shows, that's all I care about. Like, going to everything, seeing individuals. When I went up to Chantilly, I ran into a dozen people, that I got to say hi to again and everything, because the bigger shows bring people around and everything. Mm-hmm. Especially, when you're focused in one area, that's why I love going. I want to try to get out to, the Burbank show. I want to get out to, the Mint. I want to come out to Dallas, go to Nashville, make these trips and everything. But I just have to, one, put it in my budget, right? Because never.
Yeah. We've been really regional. Like we've been to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to the Bay Area, been to San Diego, but I haven't done a lot of traveling. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with, you got kids and you don't want to be away sometimes. And
yeah,
I've taken trips where I'm away for a week, come back. People are doing different things, talking differently and walking differently. And
I see your videos with you and your son. That's what it's all about. My son, a lot. I mean, he's taller than me. I'm 6'3" and he's 6'5", and he loves every time he's at a store and everything. And then he randomly, he's driving different areas and he's like, "Dad, look, I found a cart shop here. I'm gonna go in and see if they have anything and stuff." It's just, well, he's at that aspect where he's that person out there searching for stuff for me, and it's great.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. That's what my father got me started in the hobby. And even when we go out now, I think about the first shows I walk with him. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on Gretzky and McDavid? To me, both legends. What do you think?
Yeah. So I agree. I'm not a big hockey guy. I am main. And what's really sucks, with the whole being able to, be a vendor and selling and stuff. Hockey sells. Those big cards. It does sell. And I never got into it. I'm an avid sports fan. And I can talk it and I can discuss it and everything. I love hockey in person. I've been to a lot of games just sitting right next to the ice or in the crowd, and It's incredible. I watch it on TV and I get bored. it's weird, that whole aspect. I mean, there is always a different aspect of being live, but I just can't. I don't get into it that much. But I know the names Gretzky. I know the names Connor McDavid. The up and coming, incredible star and everything. You can't go wrong. Look at the price of Gretzky's, OPC. His rookie card, right? Even low grade cards, they go for a lot.
A lot. Very condition sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Connor says, "What Trey Lance market looking like?" I don't know about Trey Lance.
Depends on if you think he's going to play, or if when Purdy's actually good to play again, he's going to come in and play.
Well, Lynch said the other day in a very smoke and mirrors kind of way.
Yep, that he's the quarterback.
He's earned the right to take a snap. What does that mean?
Look at his record right now. Honestly, I got to see him play against my Dolphins is when he came in. When he came in, when Garoppolo got hurt, was against the Dolphins, and you saw what he did against them, right? And
well, his skill set matches the team. It's not Trey Lance,
without a doubt. I think people are too focused on they gave up too much for him, so they have to play him. I don't think so.
But look what just happened to Wiseman.
Yep.
Teams will lose for the future, not with decisions they make in the past.
No. I think the best thing for them to do, honestly, is if they can trade Lance, do it, bring in a vet quarterback to cover until Purdy comes back, and then play Purdy.
That's probably what they're going to do.
I think that's what they should do. For investment-wise, market-wise, there's a lot of people buying Trey Lance, though, because, it's the off-season for the NFL right now. The only person, honestly, that is staying steady in the market for football right now is Brock Purdy. Sure. Why? Is because he's lost one game since as a starter, and everyone can see the future with him, right? He's the only one consistently staying stable compared to everybody else.
Very true, and his potential is very, very high.
Mm-hmm.
He can put the pill in the air. Hollywood Card Collector. Jeremy, I just sent you a note. FD, I work on network sitcoms and love cards. I'd love to do a chat with you about the two industries. I would love to. We'll stay in contact.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Look something up. We're starting up season 2 of Night Court. I'll have you down to Warner Bros. For a private tour. Now, that would be amazing. Oh, man, you just got me hyped. That would be amazing. I watched Night Court when I was young.
Yeah, now they have the newer updated version. The girl that was on Big Bang Theory is the judge and everything. And it's very interesting. I can. So trivia nights, if I've ever played trivia and everything like that, in bars and everything else, I'm the sports and entertainment guy. I love movies.
Okay.
I love TV shows. In sports, I have all this, I say, useless knowledge in my head. It's crazy. I grew up, my parents like to play Trivial Pursuit, right? So I played a lot of Trivial Pursuit growing up as a teenager and higher. Yeah.
I don't know. Hollywood, we'll rip a few packs on the judges saying, yeah.
That'd be awesome. How many videos are out there of ripping packs on a set?
I don't think so. Hollywood now makes some history. Nathan, what's up? Hope all is well, everyone. I got it just so everybody knows. I'm a big Tyrese Maxey fan. That's what else. Another person that was in that draft. Mm-hmm. I'm a believer in Tyrese Maxey, and I got a great card from Nathan. He has great cards. So if you get in contact with Nathan on Instagram or whatever, talk to him. He has a great collection. Smoothest 1000 Joe Burrow cards are pretty stable. Yeah, they are. They are. I mean, he's proven himself. He's done things. Now he needs to win something, but he showed that he's a player. Doesn't have fear.
Nope.
Connor asks, is Tua a buy? Tua is just all about his health.
Being a Dolphins fan, I know all about that. If you watch the games where he started and completed, didn't get hurt, incredible. The connection that he has with Waddle, the connection he has with Tyreek, the team around him really followed behind. A lot of people don't know this, and I tell them the game that they played against the Ravens, where they came back 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, I was at. Since it was in Baltimore, that was the game I went to.
Okay.
This past year. You talk about a game and a half. Holy crap. A lot of people were asking prior to the season started. They're like, or they weren't asking, and people were saying, Tua's going to underthrow Tyreek. Underthrow, right? He can't get him the ball. Tyreek's not the person you have to throw deep on. Now, Mahomes did it a lot, right? He can get past the receivers and do it. Tyreek's the person you can throw 15 yards and he'll run the other 45.
Because I was also questioning Tua's arm, but the way they ran that offense, you didn't have to worry about that.
No, and I all I said was let McDaniels bring in what they did with Deebo Samuel, and with the 49ers and that offense. That's all you had to do, honestly. Like that year prior, he was tearing it up.
True. Hollywood said that was my idea for my YouTube channel. I've since just done home rips. Yeah, it's going to rip some cards. It will be interesting. Who do you have going to the NBA Finals? Question of the night.
It is. So, was there much movement? Are you guys still starting against the Suns?
Well, we dropped to 6 after that.
Did you?
And people not shooting well.
Yeah, I mean, you got what? This is the last week.
Yeah. Don't say 4 more games.
Yeah,
I think 3 or 3 or 4.
If you guys, I think it will be terrible for the West if you guys start against the Suns. Like, I believe you two are the stronger team.
It'll be a big series to come.
Oh my gosh! Right off the bat, right? The East is. It's hard not to go Giannis's way. I believe.
Mm-hmm.
He's also an extremely humble and nice guy.
Fair.
Right? It's hard not to like the guy. But I think the Celtics are going to come out of the East.
Oh, you think so?
I do. I think they have the more rounded team. And the West, it's a toss-up. Every team, it used to be the opposite, I always thought. The East was a lot stronger than the West, and then everything just started focusing that way, right?
Golden State shifted it.
Yeah. It's hard if Durant comes back and plays the way he should be. It's hard not to say the Suns are going to take it all. It kind of sucks seeing Kyrie go to Dallas and then all of a sudden that team just exploded. Like, what happened there?
Brooklyn was in the playoffs.
But a sleeper team, if he comes back in the playoffs, could be the Pelicans, right? Zion.
You believe in Zion?
Well, how was he playing when they were a number 1 team when he was playing, right? They were the number 1 ranked team. I think he has to learn to not play so aggressive, and that's hard, right? You playing that way your whole life. He's a bigger boy. You have the agility. Just slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Totally agree. Jump shot would help.
So I think Suns versus Boston, and I think it'd be a good matchup. But in the end, I think the Suns can finally pull it off. Honestly, if everyone stays healthy, everyone's got to be healthy, right? However, there's always those LeBron can come out of nowhere, right? The Warriors all of a sudden just tearing it up.
That's what I think is going to happen. I think Golden State's going to be around, and I think my thought is they're going to play Milwaukee.
Yeah. It's just, I was showing, so my girlfriend loves threes, right? She loves 3-pointers and the way, the game's playing and stuff. And in football, she likes super long passes. She calls them humdingers.
Okay.
Great. I love it. So I was like, let me show you some highlight reels of Steph Curry shooting and then walking away. And we watched like a 5-minute video, and she's like, "This is incredible." He turned and talks to the bench after he shoots before he walks away. It's just like his shot is how for his age and already having that 3 record is just unbelievable.
Yes,
right? I mean the way the game's played now is completely different compared to the past.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable, but his shot is just, it's remarkable how sweet and easy it looks.
Well, his brother Seth tells the story that jumper came from Dale. Dale took Steph in the backyard. Steph was crying, didn't want to change his shot. he was shooting too low. And Dad was telling him that, that thing's going to get blocked. You got to get that ball up. So through all the back and forth and whining and upset and crying, he came out of that backyard with a totally different shot.
There's a difference from him and a difference from Lonzo. Remember when he came out and his shot was like shooting from a
body? Yeah.
And just, and he completely changed his shot.
His career is probably over. He was developing to a spot-up shooter.
He was. I mean, he changed his whole shot. When he became a pro, he finally changed his shot.
That is interesting. Feed the guys. I never hear anyone going after the master set of their favorite team's inaugural year. I'm going after the Angels in 61. Which team would you two go after?
Ooh.
I've never been asked that question before.
That's actually pretty interesting.
Feed the guys. That's deep. Feed the guys usually comes with some real questions.
So for me, being a Dolphins fan, it would probably be a 72 set, right? From the Dolphins, perfect season, right? I'd arguably that would probably be it for me.
Yeah, it would probably be something Bears, carousels related back in the 60s. I mean, I don't know. I have to think on that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty interesting. Connor's rolling with the Suns in Boston.
He is exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gabo says, I believe Zion will be back strong. I don't believe in Zion Williams. I just don't.
It's hard seeing the flashes, right? People are already comparing him to Greg Oden, honestly. And that's what I've heard, right? Because of him getting hurt. However, Greg Oden didn't have the flashes that Zion has shown already, right? He did.
Greg Oden in high school and college was crazy, but not in the pros.
No. But also that Greg Oden's year, I believe, was the year Ohio State lost to Florida.
It is.
In both football and basketball in the same year.
And Conley's still running around playing ball.
Yeah.
Remember at one point he was the highest paid man in the NBA?
Isn't that crazy?
He was making more than Michael Jordan ever made. Conley. Hey, it's been great having you on here.
I appreciate being on.
We gotta have you on again in the future.
Oh, no doubt. You just reach out to me. I'll definitely, I'll be at the National, right? Are you going to the National? Maybe we'll meet up and do some in-person type of, podcasts and stuff instead of, doing over this and everything. There's much stuff that goes on, at the National. It's April now. 3 months from now when the National
world, we'll probably be like, man, remember what we knew about BGS back then?
Lamar might have a contract at that time.
He might. That's true.
But yeah, I would definitely come back on, discuss everything. I enjoy it. Like I keep saying, this is what I love about the hobby. Selling the stuff and everything else like that, it's whatever. It's the main thing, talking sports, keeping the kids involved.
Yes.
Right. Trying to keep them in the hobby, because if they stop, it goes away.
True. Very true. Man, I appreciate you. Appreciate your service. From the first day I met you, great conversation. I just appreciate you, bro. It's good to meet good people, sit down and talk with them in person, talk to them on a Zoom or a StreamYard. It's all good.
Yep. Everyone can find me. I'll have these conversations with everyone. Instagram, YouTube. I'm not so much on Twitter, TikTok. I make content on, all the time. I don't do it as much because of the everyday life and everything like that, but I try to get everything out. Always looking for Pat Tillman, but my inboxes are always open. If you have a question about anything, if you feel like, hey, what do you think about this? I'll respond and I'll talk.
Yeah, I hit you, and within seconds, you were hitting me back.
Mm-hmm.
That's how my man rolls. We got Zerny saying tight live. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hollywood said good times, you too. Hollywood, I'll be in contact. Connor. Good stuff, guys. Brother, you have a good one. Tell everybody in your family we said what's up.
Thank you.
And I'll be in contact soon.
Okay.
All right, my man. Peace.
Rolling with FD. You forgot to ask the question.
Thank you. Oh, hold on. Let me ask you. Let me get you in this intro.
Ooh.
Changing the intro.
Oh, are you?
So Army ATC 22. Who you rolling with?
That's an easy question. You've asked a lot of hard questions. I'm rolling with FD, baby.
Bro, I appreciate you. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.